Hi guys, it's Becky. Happy Wednesday. It's still morning, so I'll say good morning. Doing a different kind of video today. It's back in the Amberlynn verse or world, and it's their ex Beck has made a live stream actually. It says, "This really fried my brain trying to respond to this in a timely manner. I hope you all understand where I'm coming from. I'm still working on the Destiny video that will go out next. It's filmed, just being edited still. I think we will do a live stream after it comes out. Take care until then." And then they left a comment that said, "Thank you all so much for your support in this video, and thank you all who have been understanding and sharing in your own experiences. I hope for all of you to have support in your healing as well. This was a very scary video to make, and I was nervous and trying to say what I needed to say, but also make it make sense." Oh. "I don't want to add to confusion, and I really tried to be careful about everything I said, but misunderstandings are bound to happen. There were a couple of things I feel like I could have worded better, though. One of those was saying cancer scare. I didn't mean to imply that Amber ever lied about cancer. I was just thinking of the time specifically before the diagnosis when she didn't know what was going on yet. I also saw some confusion about why I didn't show any transactions for the settlement. I tried calling the bank, but where the account is closed, it was years ago. They didn't have those records anymore. I also made a typo in my editing that I missed, where I was talking about the things Amber helped me, like pimple popping. I typed on the screen, sometimes embarrassing places like on my butt, or helping with reoccurring MS, but I meant HS, which is that word that I cannot read." I just didn't catch that. Anyways, I think that's the only things I missed. Sorry, there's so much. Okay, so that is it. It's about 40 minutes long. I'm going to speed it up. Not that fast. Holy moly. We'll put it at 1.3 first and see how that goes. But without further ado, let's get to see what Beck has to say about Amberlynn.
Hey everyone, if you felt crazy after watching everything unfold last week, you're not alone. Trust me, I'm feeling it myself. There's been so much coming out, it's been really hard to keep up. Between reactions and live streams and the podcast with Casey and now Amber's last live stream on Thursday, it has just all been overwhelming. Amber's live was hard for me to watch. It brought up a lot of emotions I've had to confront. Her language, outlook, and how she twists everything was very triggering. And some of it was clearly an attempt to attack my character and discredit me and what I've said about her. Because of that, I had to comb through everything she said, take notes, and try my best to wrap my head around what was going on. Reaction channels have really helped so much with that, and it's difficult seeing so many people watch her lie about me and others while trying to manipulate the narrative. But they remember things even I don't remember sometimes, and getting the outside perspective has been incredibly important and enlightening. I've been trying to keep myself from having to address her directly most of the time. I did consider making this video at her specifically, but when I was writing this, I found out that she wasn't who I wanted to talk to. I wanted to tell you what I thought and what I'm feeling. This is all really new to me. Yes, I've talked about our past relationship before, but not to the extent I have the last month or so. And I've been on YouTube in the past, but I've never had this amount of support behind me until recently. Now, with more public support comes more attention and more expectations.
Wow.
I knew talking about her again would bring a lot of eyes my way, and I don't want to let anyone down, but I can't stand by and let fear stop me from talking about what I went through and bringing awareness to covert narcissism and mental, emotional, and financial abuse. All abuse survivors deserve to be advocated for, whether it is physical or psychological. Amber herself was once a victim of abuse in her childhood, but she has continuously weaponized her trauma to manipulate people into getting her way in many different scenarios. Even now, she is doing that, trying to paint herself to look like as much of a victim as her own victims. She wants me to tuck my tail and run away from this like I've done before, but I won't be doing that this time. First, I want to say that I understand if Amber has maybe swayed your opinion of me. It's so easy to get swept up in her confusion and manipulation. I was swept up in it for many years, and you don't have to like me to still hold Amber and people like her accountable publicly for the harm that they cause.
True.
I will link some videos in the description for channels that really helped me make sense of this whole mess, but I just ask that you give me a chance to make some points before forming your whole opinion. It has been difficult to understand and tell my truth because this has all been so messy and emotional from the beginning with Amber. Secondly, I want you to keep in mind two things that I've learned about while trying to make sense of what I went through. Darvo is a manipulation tactic often used by narcissists and abusers when confronted about their behaviors and actions. Deny stands for downplaying or minimizing severity of actions, deny it happened, reject responsibility for it, or refuse to acknowledge it. Attack means attacking credibility, character, or motivations and exaggerating or lying, counter accusations to divert attention from them. Reverse victim and offender, twisting the narrative to make them the real victim of abuse, casting blame onto someone else to regain control, and manipulating emotions to get sympathy or pity. And the narcissist prayer, coined by Dana
I'm here. I just don't have a lot to say right now.
Craig, used to demonstrate the way the narcissist thinks about their actions. That didn't happen. And if it did, it wasn't that bad. And if it was, that's not a big deal. And if it is, that's not my fault. And if it was, I didn't mean it. And if I did, you deserved it. I think for someone who claims to not be a narcissist and to only have a few narcissistic traits, these patterns are very similar, if not exactly what she's done and is doing now. However, I don't want you guys to believe I am some perfect victim of Amberlynn Reed. I'm not and have never been perfect before her or after. She continues to say that everyone believes I am all good and she is all bad. She acts as if I've never been criticized in the past or now. But the truth is, she has never been able to take criticism and still can't handle it. Anyone who has ever had something to say about the crappy things that she has done is against her and has it all wrong. And it is not just to me, but all of her exes and the majority of her audience and the YouTube community, including reaction channels past and present. On the subject of not being perfect, reactive abuse exists within personal relationships, and I'm sure that I've said some inappropriate or mean things to Amber. During fights and arguments, a lot of sensitive things were being brought up, and I can't remember now the things I said, but we were having long-lasting problems in our relationship because of her continued behavior and our situation. Reactive abuse doesn't mean that you're not being abused. I may not remember saying at least my family didn't do drugs, but that is not representative of my true feelings then or now. I have my own family members, my sister and my aunt, who struggled with their own addictions. My sister's been in recovery for 20 years and we sadly lost our aunt. I really don't think I would have said those things, but it was a long time ago and I can't be sure what I said or what she was saying to me before that happened. She showed no proof and I don't have any either. But regardless, conflict can be used by toxic people who love to push and bring you down to their level. They do this to make you feel that they are not the problem, and instead, you are both the problem. Amber, I want to remind you that I would have never been on YouTube if it wasn't for you putting me on your channel to begin with. I wouldn't have talked to Karina last year if you wouldn't have still been talking about me. I probably wouldn't have ever come back to my channel if you had not continued talking about me. And now I'm back and I don't know what I'm doing, but our audience is intertwined and you can't pretend that there isn't years of evidence showing your pattern of abusive behaviors toward every single one of your exes. We can't all be lying, Amber. I don't know where to start, so I'm going to just do what she couldn't do and list out exactly what she lied about in this live stream. Number one, Amber claimed she never talked about me after the proposal story on her channel, except she did. She made another video with my name in the title a couple weeks later. She talked about me on her Instagram stories and in her Q&As and in the comments of other people's live streams and videos. She even talked about me to people in her private life, according to Alexis, but I care less about that. The online stuff she knew people would see. And how many times now has she said she is done talking about me or the situation and then talks about it again? I've lost count. Number two, she says she couldn't access the joint bank account that she had a card to with her name on it. I will continue to get into this more when I cover financial abuse later in this video. Same with buying me a car. Number three, Amber said that I claim to never have met Jade or Libby. That just isn't true. There is evidence of me saying I met Jade before, as well as videos of me being in the same room as Jade. Libby, I did say that I never met, but that's because I'm pretty sure we never did meet in person. There's a video of me sitting with Amber and talking while she was on You Now with Libby. I did not meet Libby. I knew of Libby as a friend of Amber's she knew while with Destiny. Number four, she says that Eric and Ricky told her that I admitted to using her for money and called her a fat fucking bitch. And I know some of you really wanted that last part to be true, but I truly do not remember saying those things to Eric or Ricky. I did complain about Amber sometimes, but I never made fun of Amber's weight or body, even after the breakup. And why would I admit to using Amber for money if that's what I was doing? It just doesn't make sense. Eric and Ricky are also notorious gossips and they love the drama. They told me back when we were still talking that my own sister and Logan were talking crap about me behind my back and they weren't. Number five, Amber.
Some people just like love the drama. Love the drama.
Claimed to have told me many times to go get a job if I was so bored, and that she supported me in working or starting my own business. She also said that I only ever Ubered twice. That was a lie. I drove her Uber when I could, off and on, even after the breakup. Buying me some art supplies doesn't equal being supportive of me working and having a job.
Seriously. Whenever she said like, oh, I bought them this or oh, I bought them that and I always supported them, I feel like you'll always like support them in theory, but there's a big difference between like supporting someone like in theory and actually like being a supportive person. And I don't believe in any sense of the word that she was supportive at all.
She admits herself in this live stream that she was controlling of my time and never wanted me to leave her alone, which is the Amber.
Exactly. So how are you supposed to be supportive of someone running, like starting their own job or getting a job or whatever, if you never let them leave?
Was I allowed to leave to work or did I always need to be with you? Number six, She tells people in her live that I said we weren't friends after the breakup, and that isn't entirely true. On my channel, I've said before that we hung out after the breakup, but that after I moved out, we were only friendly. We rarely saw each other unless I was dealing with my stuff at the apartment, and sometimes we were with mutuals. She continued to reach out to me every once in a while, and I continued to keep the peace when I had to because I still had people and stuff connected to her. Number 7. She lies about giving me her doctor's appointment slot for our psychiatrist because she was so worried for me. I don't understand this one or even why she thought that's how doctor appointments work, but I will bring this up again when I talk about my health history later in this video. Number 8. Amber dances around implying that I pressured her for sex by asking her to be in a relationship. You have no idea how nauseated I felt hearing that. I'm going to be going into more details and telling you the whole story of it.
That was actually like a huge thing that she said, like that Beck wanted to like go further, and she said they could only do it if they were in a relationship. And then Beck was like, okay, do you want to be my girlfriend then? Like that just seemed like it was really, I don't know, it gave me a yucky feeling. So I can only imagine how Beck felt knowing the truth of that side of that story.
That night. Number 9. Claims she never saw the settlement money and that, quote, it just went into the joint account. I don't know what happened to it. Number 10. She lied and said that she took the joint debit card away from me because Jade was uncomfortable. That card was only attached to the joint account we shared that originally was my account, and by that time she already had a separate private account with the same bank that all of her money was going into. Number 11. Amber also lied about free bleeding, about how long I helped her wipe, how often I brushed her hair, and how often she showered. And then she also read out a chat about us both having hygiene issues. But I will once again get more into that in another section. Next, I will address the screenshots that she did show in her live stream and the situations surrounding them from what I remember. Screenshot A, Stop Talking Crap, September 7th, 2022. Prior to this, I had made a video on my channel that briefly mentioned Amber. I watched a Karina video and talked about it. I mentioned past relationships, and when I brought up Amber, I said something like, there were good and bad times. And she made a video shortly after that, on September 6th, that talked in length about my proposal to her. In her video, she belittled me again and talked badly about me, making the whole thing sound like something she never wanted and was below her. Apparently, I sent her this text the next day. B. Last effing warning. Stop talking about me. All you do is talk about me, and I just want to forget you and all the bullshit. I will stop being silent if you don't, and I'm not the only one who has a lot to say about you. Final effing warning. Take my name out of your mouth, and I will get the law involved. I think this one is pretty self-explanatory. It was a little over a year after the breakup, and I had just had enough. If I didn't see when she would post something about me, someone was sending it to me, and in those moments, I just wanted nothing to do with her anymore. I'd finally broken up with her and gotten away, and I needed time to be left alone. Screenshot B, the banking. A, how much money is in the bank account? B, sends screenshot of account that both of them had access to. She doesn't show a date for when this was, but it seems like it is before she opened her private account with the same bank. I want to reiterate that when we got together, only I had a bank account. She asked to deposit the money she would make from YouTube into my account because she did not have her own. So this is the only time that she was not able to see what was in the account or access it herself. I don't remember exactly when we went to the bank, but it was around 2018, 2019, somewhere in there. That day she opened her own private account and also officially had her name put on mine, making my account the joint account that we both had access to. Eventually, she had her YouTube checks directly depositing into her private account. But when it was in the joint and when it was in hers, she had full access to both. I only had a card for the joint account that was originally mine. After quitting my job and slowly becoming her full-time caretaker, I had no money of my own going into the account, but nothing was spent without her knowing about it or being the one to spend it herself. Screenshot B, point 2, banking. September 2nd, 2021, only a couple months after breakup, June 19th, 2021. A, you need to open your own bank account. Just open a new one. I'm going to keep this one for now. I need you to start using your own money for redacted and stuff. Plus, when I pay you on this 22nd, I don't want you using this bank account anymore. B, then go to the effing bank with me. So I believe that this was when she was urging me to open a new account and take myself off the joint account. That again used to be my account. But I'm pretty sure that I needed her to go with me to the bank to make these changes to the account. And I just wanted to say also that it's weird that the way she shows these screenshots, I can't read them myself, and she reads them out loud. But in some, she doesn't read it directly. It just throws doubt around. I also want to add that I think the thing that she marked out was weed, and I don't care if people know that I used to smoke. I did care once upon a time, but that's all I can think of that might be redacted in that message. And I think maybe why she said this is because she might have bought me a vape or some at some point. Screenshot C, lying to audience, April 17th, 2022. A, I am literally getting harassed because people think I lied about us still being friends. Why can't I just tell them I wasn't lying? This sucks so bad. B, it's best they don't know. As sad as it is, that would kill my channel. I do not want them knowing. It will be an even bigger, more messy thing. I'm going to address that I saw you and gave the rings, but we don't hang out, dude. That's just how it has to be. That's what they have to know. YouTube is my only income, and I'm only getting like $200. Amber adds that I said that I had a job even though I didn't. A, what about the backlash I'm getting for lying even though I'm not lying? B, if this comes out, it would be even less. Amber adds that this was about money. A, I'm choosing you over myself. B, you should have said nothing at all. Amber didn't say that part. B, I lost my job. Okay, this is the big one I know a lot of people wanted me to address. Amber says that I completely denied being friends after our breakup. I didn't deny being friends with her entirely in my live stream, but I didn't say we were friends because I did not see us as friends. I explained that we did see each other in passing when I needed to go to the apartment where some of my things still were, whenever she asked me to do something for her, and while being with mutual friends. To explain the screenshot, Amber mentioned me in a different video and told the audience that we were still friends at that time. This is why I said you should have said nothing at all, which she conveniently did not read out loud, except I didn't consider us to be really friends at the time, and I didn't want her talking about me on her channel. I was scared of the audience, the haters, and the fans of Amber. I didn't want my channel to be all about.
That's fair. The people are wild. Also, I don't know. I feel like I'm not, like, I don't have a lot to say back, but I'm just letting Beck have their say. I just don't feel like I have a lot to comment on. So hopefully I do in like the next 10 minutes, because this kind of feels useless a little.
About her, and I didn't want to give her or anyone else any reason to talk about. Instead of telling her, no, Amber, I'm not your friend, I asked her not to say that we were friends. I had forgotten that I sent a message like that. So when I denied her lying for me, I didn't remember this instance, and forgetting that is on me. But she wants to make this out to be an example of her always lying to her audience for me, to spare me and protect me. That just isn't the case. I believe she's only bringing this up because I admitted to lying in her videos for her on different.
She just wants to use this one thing because she can show that, look, I was forced into lying to my audience. She just wants to put the blame on anybody else because everybody knows she's one of the biggest liars in YouTube. Like, she's known as one of the biggest liars. And always gets caught. Like, I don't understand why she keeps lying if she's just always getting caught. Like, that just seems so stupid. Yeah. So anytime that she has proof that someone else asked her to lie, or that she took it as they asked her to lie, she's like, oh, see, guys, it's not me. It's not me. All these other people make me lie for them. See. Makes her feel better about herself.
Occasions. I want to apologize to my audience for not being honest with you all at that time. I'm sorry that I was still afraid of being authentic and genuine with you all. I thought that if I could just ignore Amber in girl world, that would be the safest path. I hope I can prove to you I have learned from those experiences and changed. I also want to apologize for my memory loss. I know Amber said herself that she has bad.
Oh my god, you sweet person. You don't have to apologize for half the things you're apologizing for. Like memory loss, forgetting things. It's been years. And sure, I'm sure that there's been a lot of things that, being in an abusive relationship, you have to do what you have to do to survive. So, I'm sure people, maybe you weren't your best self. Let's put it that way. But also at the end of the day, you were just trying to survive all that abuse and manipulation. So it's going to happen. And another thing that's going to happen is you're going to forget things because your brain is trying to protect you from all the trauma and shit that you experienced. So don't apologize for those things. You don't have to.
Memory. And I'm sure that it was just an additional thing to muddy the waters of what was real and what wasn't. But I do wish I had more proof for you. Obviously, there are years of videos out there, and I rely on people bringing things to my attention a lot of the time when it comes to stuff posted publicly. However, I deleted all of our messages, texts, and other things. I didn't want to look at them anymore. I didn't want to read them or see them or think about them. They're gone, unfortunately, so I can't debunk or even look at the rest of the conversation for the screenshots she shows. During our relationship, I lacked a lot of independence and self agency. I did a lot for her, but I couldn't get myself to do anything for me. I was depressed, and it was only getting worse the longer our relationship went on. She was dependent on me and wanted me to be dependent on her too. Codependence is hard to break out of. I slipped into it so quickly, I didn't realize I had lost all agency for myself. And then once I was in it, it was too difficult to stand on my own again. I've seen people compare it to boiling a lobster or crab. You put them in the water first and slowly raise the heat so they don't realize they are being cooked alive. Things Amber admitted to. Number one, she admitted to being mean and rude and talking down to me in videos and behind the camera, but she didn't admit that this was a form of public humiliation that I believe she used to control me and keep my self-esteem low. Number two, Amber said that she was horrible to Destiny. No shocker there, but I do wonder why she kept saying she wasn't going to talk about Destiny in this live stream. I can only guess. Number three, admits to buying love and attention from partners and friends, yet doesn't admit to financial abuse at all. Amber, there is a difference between being generous and holding things over people's heads as leverage because you paid for something.
Mm-hmm.
Number four, Amber says that she went through my phone a lot because of trust issues, but then shows journal entries to, in her eyes, prove that I did read her journals. First, I never said that she didn't let me read any of her physical journals. I said that she wouldn't let me go through her phone because she said there were private journals on it. Yet she says that I could read her journals anytime and she wouldn't have cared if I looked at her phone, but that I never really had asked her anyway. Number 5, she admits that she does not feel that I was abusive towards her. But then why do all of this, Amber? Number 6, she admits to being manipulative toward me and others to get what she wants out of them. Number 7, and finally, she admits that she shouldn't have asked me to drive during the times that I was physically and mentally ill. More on that later. At first glance, it may sound like she admitted to quite a few things, and she did, but she did not take real accountability for them. She spent the worst part of 3 hours talking about things she went through and only accepting the small things she felt weren't as bad to distract and minimize the impact of the bigger problems at hand. Admitting to vague things like being controlling and manipulative, but not acknowledging that the impact of her being controlling of my time was me not being able to look for a job, save money, or even spend time with my dying mother. Amber continuously denied or straight up ignored the bigger issues or the details that didn't support her explanation for her behaviors. Things Amber denied/ignored. Number 1, she denied still talking about me after the breakup. Number 2, she
When there's so much proof that she continuously talked about them after the breakup. Like videos and comments and screenshots. Like, Amber, at least if you're gonna lie about something, make it believable. Like, make it so we can't do a quick search on your page and find everything related to Beck. Like, come on.
She denied asking me to send her the settlement inheritance money and me sending it to her for bills and other things she paid for. Number 3, she fully denied ever being financially abusive to anyone because of her infamous kindness and generosity. Number 4, denied using a timer even though I said sometimes she did and sometimes she didn't. She only said this to make it sound like I wasn't telling the truth about her tracking the time for things I did.
Anything that she can use to prove, like, to just, like, make it look slightly like you're deceitful so then people won't believe you or her. It's dumb. Sorry. It's not dumb, it's actually really, pardon me. It's not dumb, it's actually really good on her, like, on the manipulative side and the narcissistic side of Amber, because she knows how to do that. She's very good at it.
Number 5, she underestimated how much I helped her with her personal hygiene, saying that I only wiped her for 9 months and that I got her a bucket a couple times and only brushed her hair once. She also denies free bleeding, though I was under the impression she had admitted this before in her videos, but I have no idea which video it could be if she did. Number 6, denies leaving me with only a little bit of money for a U-Haul and implies that she did pay me for the live streams. Number 7, she ignores the serious allegations about her behavior towards Libby. Number 8, she ignores the chat asking her about getting physical with Jade.
What?
Number 9, she ignores everything.
I guess there was allegations of abuse towards, like, physical abuse towards Jade. I think that's what that one refers to.
That had to do with feederism and her irresponsible involvement with feeders and making feeder content. Number 10, the last thing I'll mention here is that she gets asked, what is the worst thing she did to me? And she replies with,
the cruelest thing I ever said to Beck. God, I can't remember a lot of what happened, obviously, but let me think of something.
And you just know right now when she's thinking about it, because people do it all the time. People do it when they're like trying to lie and manipulate people. They be like, oh, let me just think about it. When the worst thing is already sitting at, like, the front of her mind, but she's trying to, like, push that aside and find something that's not as terrible.
It's not really what I said, it's just like what I did, like forcing them to, like, come home quicker and, like, being annoying about it, you know?
That's the worst thing you did? Are you kidding me? The last 24 minutes of Beck speaking has all been horrendous things you've done. I'd say the worst thing you ever did, the worst 2 things you did, was not let Beck spend time with their dying mother and taking the inheritance to pay bills when you said you were always so forthcoming and you always helped people with money and this and that and the other thing. If you had a good income, why are you taking somebody's inheritance from their mother that you didn't let them spend a lot of time with when they were dying? As for what you said, oh, God only knows the things you said.
if she truly believes that is the worst thing she put me through in the past 7 years, then she is more lost and twisted than I ever realized. Now,
Good on you, Beck. You just fucking let her have it, man.
As I talk about the screenshots, I need to discuss the journals with you. The journals confused me at first. I barely remember her writing in them the majority of our relationship. She talks about it like she was sitting there reading her journals to me or handing them over whenever she added a new entry. I don't remember ever reading her physical journals. I remember seeing her write down her weigh-ins or goals, and I remember an essay she wrote that she wanted me to read. I also remember her using her journals for stickers and scrapbooking. But beyond that, I wasn't just sitting around and reading her journals for fun. I think it's odd that she's using journal entries to prove anything, and even more odd that it was to prove that she would have let me go through her phone according to her, especially when she lied about having 2 phones and then suddenly had both phones and has kept every single text message and photo ever. It is interesting that she brought the journals up because it reminded me that she had this online secret private journal on her phone and laptop that she says she had for years, probably back when she knew Casey and Crystal. And that was a journal she really never wanted me to see. But obviously, I wasn't looking to read her journal. I'd only asked to go through her phone because of how often she went through mine. I was like, why can't I go through your messages? Who are you talking to? And she would make excuses for why I couldn't look and just needed to trust her. Eventually, I just didn't care anymore. Next, let's talk about the mattress and bed bug situation. I brought this up in my last live stream as something I was going to say to talk about later in the video. So, of course, she had to get ahead of the narrative, and that's fine. It wasn't important who said it first, though I do want to point out this was a first-hand experience from my live stream of my memory being a little wonky. I know it can kind of make some people question my credibility, but I swear I'm not entirely jelly-brained. I may mess some things up, but I remember the big picture. Ming, what happened to the bed frame? What do you mean, like the bed frame?
Like that's what you brought up.
Yeah.
Wait, what do you mean?
Bed frame that you had to get rid of. You mentioned that.
Yeah, you mentioned it. You said you wanted to hold on to that. They're talking about like what you were talking about just a minute ago, where you were like,
I'm having a giant brain fart. Hey, wait, is it the one that we had bought together for her room?
You mentioned it.
Oh, the bed frame. Oh, in her first apartment when we first met.
Yeah.
And she was moving out. Oh, I really want to tell you guys, but I've got some stuff that I'm holding on to just in case. So yes, it was about the bed bugs. While Amber was living in the townhouse, she had gotten bed bugs. This was after Destiny and her broke up, and we were seeing each other. The bed bugs could have come from the neighbors. They were horrible at the time, but it was impossible to know. However, Amber let it get bad and pretended not to notice. I had bites all over me. I think she probably did too, but maybe didn't want to admit it. I helped her get rid of them, quarantining her clothes and the mattress, and when she eventually moved in with Eric, Ricky, and I, she asked me to lie to them for her. At the time, I felt like I didn't have a choice because I didn't want her to be homeless, and she begged me not to tell them. I cared about her, and I knew that if I said anything, they wouldn't have let her move in. Eventually, I did tell them the truth, though, and Ricky and Amber had a big fight about it. I should have never lied to them for Amber at the time. Now I want to talk about something really serious with you guys. Talking about DV and SA is an incredibly sensitive topic to handle. While I am a victim of Amber's abuse, I am not a victim of either DV or SA by her hands. In this live stream, Amber makes outrageous claims against the people she's wronged and ignores others. She doubles down on her accusations against Casey with no hesitation because Casey dared to stand up against her. She ignores the allegations of hitting Jade and ignores being inappropriate with Libby.
Also, hearing this, like, I've seen Casey's interview. It was really upsetting and hard to watch, and yeah, so if you haven't seen that, I suggest going and watching that. I don't know what went on with the Jade stuff. I feel like I'm a little behind on the Amberverse stuff, but yeah, I think it would be interesting to hear or like to see an interview or something, but I don't think Jade ever came forward. But I'm not positive. Again, I'm quite behind.
Libby. She tries to insinuate that I pressured her into a relationship for sex because I claimed before that she pressured me into a relationship when I wanted to take it slow. She's always turning accusations around and making them her own to point back at people. On the day that I asked Amber to be my girlfriend, we were having a Netflix and chilled type of date. I was really into the movie and Amber wanted to make out and cuddle. I told her I didn't want to in that moment because I was into the movie and this started a fight between us. This was the fight that she essentially told me she had many people lined up who wanted to date her, and if I didn't hurry up, she would find somebody else. I did like her at the time, and I didn't want to lose her yet, so...
I think it's interesting that there's several people. There's, like, several of her relationships that have, like, come forward and said the same thing. Like, they weren't ready to start, they wanted to take it slow, but then they still liked her, and they didn't want to lose her, and she goes like, oh, well, there's, like, this big lineup of people, blah, blah, blah. Girl, you have said that to more than one person, and it's interesting, just like all those people have the same story, but you have a different story. Odd.
Then I asked her to be my girlfriend. Looking back on it, it's obvious she just wanted me to make it official as quickly as possible. After we started dating, the financial
Because she wants to be claimed.
and economical abuse wasn't far behind. Economic abuse is a form of abuse when one person has control over the victim's access to economic resources, which diminishes the victim's capacity to support themselves and forces them to depend on the perpetrator financially. Amber didn't have her own bank account, and I allowed her to use mine and eventually join it officially. Amber had control of the joint account. Amber had control over her own private account. It was all Amber's money.
Amber had control over everything because Amber told you it was okay for you to, I don't know if you quit. Was it you that quit your job or you lost your job or one or the other? She basically made it okay that you didn't have to work and then held it over your head. And that's how she holds on to everyone. I think that's the only reason that she was like, that Emily was able to like get away from her was because Emily had her own shit. Like, no hate on you or anything. But, yeah, she definitely seems to find people that are not financially stable. So then she can like hold it over them where Emily had her own shit and was like, you can kick rocks.
She used paying for bills and buying food and gifts as leverage to get away with anything. This was enough in her mind to justify all the things I did for her and owe her more. I took care of her because I cared about her and knew she couldn't do a lot of things herself. I cleaned up after her and the pets. I ran errands for her. I took her to appointments and restaurants and anywhere she wanted to go. I made her a huge part of my life and inner circle. I tried my best and did anything she wanted me to do. Meanwhile, she sees the relationship as her being taken advantage of because she paid for things, like paying the down payment on the car that I drove her around in. She bought food because she wanted it, and she paid the bills because she also lived there. If I had a job, I would have been contributing. But she used the fact that she could afford it, and she needed me as reasoning for me to not get a job. And Amber used her paying for things that I needed to manipulate me into handing over the money from my mom's settlement. She says otherwise, but it was not left in the joint account. All of this to me shows a clear power imbalance in our relationship that just kept growing and growing. On top of being financially controlled, I mentally wasn't in a healthy state of mind for most of our relationship. I was struggling with years of
And from the videos, not to laugh, sorry. From the videos, everybody can see that. Everybody knew that you were mentally not well. You were trying new meds, you were on this, you were doing that. Everybody knows. Somehow, Amber's the only one that didn't fucking notice. And she was with you all the time. We weren't. We just saw you on videos. And from all the comments and everything, like everyone was very concerned about your mental state when you were on meds, when you were driving. It's concerning that Amber supposedly didn't notice any of it, but everybody else did that just watched a video.
Depression. And then when I finally tried to get help, the psychiatrist I was seeing misdiagnosed me and overmedicated me. I was on multiple medications, maybe 4 to 6 at one time. Mood stabilizers, anxiety meds, the combination and switching of medications had me completely out of it. I was bad before, but this was different. I was experiencing a lot of negative side effects, and Amber tried to minimize this by saying it was only 3 months. I don't know exactly when I started.
Amber would minimize anything. Oh, they weren't that bad. Oh, they were fine. Oh, it was just the video. Oh, it was just this time. No, Amber, it was all the time. It was always. Beck was unwell, and you were taking advantage of them the entire time.
Taking the medicine, but it was the longer part of 2019, I believe. She also tries to minimize the effects of my kidneys shutting down.
The renal failure was very, very thankfully short-lived. So it was very quick, thankfully, because that was also very, very worrisome.
These two things overlapped, but both had long-lasting effects. The doctors eventually wanted to do blood work because they were considering putting me on lithium, and that's when they found out that I was going into kidney failure. After more testing, they found it was the metformin causing it, and I was able to recover, but it wasn't quickly. After Amber's cancer scare and hysterectomy, I was the one who took care of her while she was healing. And yes, I was the one who wiped her. But I wiped her plenty before that. I believe from sometime in 2019 to June 2021 when we broke up. Before I started wiping her, she would use washcloths to wipe. She would set them on the corner of the sink, and then she would turn herself around to wipe herself on it. And then she would throw them away. Our roommates started to notice that their late mother's washcloths were disappearing. And they confronted her about it, and she wanted me to lie to them for her, but I didn't. She ended up buying more washcloths for her.
She would. Oh my god. At that point, you have to know that you need to do something about your weight when you can't wipe yourself. And you have to use people's washcloths on the edge of a counter and just like lean up against it. One, you're not getting clean. Like, there's no way in hell that you're getting properly clean that way. And two, it's just, you had to know at that point in time that maybe go for a walk. do something. That's awful.
For herself, and instead of throwing them away, she had me wash them in the sink and then put them in the washer. Wiping ended up being the lesser of two evils at the time.
Oh.
Amber also said that I only brought her a bucket a couple of times, and that is true. It only happened a couple of times, but I did help her get spots she couldn't reach. And in between the bucket baths, she just didn't shower. I also didn't only brush her hair once either. It needed to be brushed every few months. I'm only saying all of this now because she does not live in the same reality. I'm hoping maybe this will be enough to finally reach her. She and some others don't realize that you don't wipe someone and groom someone that you don't care for. I didn't do
Exactly.
those things for money. I did them to help her be more comfortable, to protect her dignity as much as I could. I lied for her and defended her and kept her alive. Now she shows her respect and gratitude for me by talking badly about me repeatedly. Even in the chaos of everything she said,
I think this is a really important thing that Beck is saying here, because that's exactly the point. If you don't care about someone, you don't love someone, you're not going to bathe them and take care of them and wash them and do all this. Like, people do it for a job, absolutely. But this wasn't Beck's job. This was Beck's life. This was somebody that Beck cared for and loved. And wiping someone and washing someone is a very intimate experience. And both people have to be quite vulnerable because you're in somebody's intimacy in sex and intimacy in cleaning someone in the same areas, right? You'd be in the same areas doing the cleaning that you would be for sex, but it's a very different experience. It takes a lot of vulnerability, and you have to have some sort of connection if it's somebody that you know versus somebody that obviously comes in to do a job. That's very different. But for someone like me, just thinking about my husband having to clean me or do stuff, it would take a lot for both of us. A lot of comfort, a lot of vulnerability, a lot of humility, it's a very intimate thing. And it's very clear that when Beck was with Amber, that they did care for her and they did love her at the time. Even through the abuse, they still loved her. And I think that Amber needs to take that into consideration when she's talking so much shit about Beck. I don't think it's appropriate and I don't think it's right. But yeah.
She still had time to read chat saying we both had hygiene issues and saying that she did gross things for me too. Me not showering for a couple extra days because I was depressed and you popping my pimples are not the same as me wiping you and cleaning your ankles. Amber doesn't want to say that she is an abuser. I am saying that. She wants to claim this diagnosis and that diagnosis, but the diagnosis doesn't matter. Her self-awareness is non-existent. Everyone has noticed that she takes zero accountability or responsibility when in private. She will beg and barter and manipulate until everyone sees it the way that she sees it. She can't do all of that publicly, and no abuser wants their abuse to be aired out. Amber, I just wanted you to finally take some accountability for the shit you've done. If I really wanted to humiliate and embarrass you, I would have just done this years ago. The only way to hold you accountable is publicly, bringing awareness to the abuse and having your audience see between the cracks. Your public live stream wasn't about an apology or healing. It wasn't about breaking your silence. It was about silencing others, especially me. You did not take this seriously. It is inappropriate to laugh when you are talking about other people's trauma, especially when you're the one who caused it. I can laugh about my trauma with friends, but making fun of what your victims have experienced is insensitive and weird. You are trying to convince everyone that I did just as much to you as you've done to me. And since you don't feel abused by me, then I should not feel abused by you. But the difference is I do feel abused by you, Amber, because you abused me and you've abused other girlfriends in the past too. Name the worst thing I did to you. Tell me what it is so I can take accountability for it if it was so bad. Because
I love that Beck has the confidence and the just oomph to be like, you know what? F you. I would have done this years ago if I wanted to make you feel like shit about yourself, but I didn't. I was respectful. I went away. I just wanted you to leave me alone, and I wanted everything to be done. But here you are, coming back, making all this bullshit up, and I've had enough, so fuck off. And now Beck has all this support behind them. It's a big confidence boost for them to just keep going.
because all you've
And I don't know them well, but I've seen enough videos to know that I am proud of them for this. I've seen the videos where they don't even look like there's life behind the eyes, to standing up, going live, speaking their truth, and just basically giving the middle finger to Amber and saying, let's go.
said about me is that I'm a liar and use you for money. Just because you feel attacked by my perspective doesn't make it a lie. And I wouldn't have dealt with so much if I was only with you for the money. And still to this day, you have the audacity to say that the worst thing you put me through was forcing me to spend time with you. It is laughable if it wasn't so sad. The funny part is you are kind of right. Forcing me to spend all my time with you kept me from my mom while she was dying. These were the darkest moments of my life. I look back on them now.
Oh. Wait, I'm going to read these, and I think it's left to right. March 31st, 2020. Becky FaceTime with me, and guess what? She isn't staying the night with me. I'm just so upset, and it breaks my heart that she's a slave to Amberlynn. I think Norma Jean's mom. Slave to Amberlynn and lets her control her. Tears streaming. Why does Becky let Amberlynn own her? She is choosing Amberlynn over her own mommy. Oh, I'm just broken. I miss Becky, and I want to spend time with her. Sorry. This is a message between Beck's sister and mom. I'm going to need her when we start packing. Yeah, she's acting funny towards me too. And another one was, it's where you were saying Amber had changed and Anne feels like that made her out to be a liar. Anne has cried her eyes out. It hurt her feelings. I myself don't think Amber has changed. She is putting on a show and trying to make her look good / innocent to her audience. I believe with all my heart Amber mentally abuses Becky, and I hate that. Well, I don't know what to do. Amberlynn has been good to me recently. She has changed. I can't read the rest of that.
Now and wish I could slap myself awake from a nightmare. I don't know why I let her control me so much. I wish I would have just run away and told her no. I have so many regrets from that time, but she knew what she was doing.
This part just breaks my heart for Beck to know that I don't know if these are late messages or new messages, or it just breaks my heart for Beck to think back to this and and think that it's their fault. Beck, this is not your fault. You were in, like your mom even said here, you were being abused and manipulated, and your mom knew. She was sad for you, but she knew and she understood that's why you couldn't be around. There's nothing you can do when you're in the manipulation, when you're in the abuse. You're just, unfortunately, you're just in it.
She knew she was manipulating me into...
Woo. Oh, here's the rest of it. Oh, I don't know. Amberlynn has been good to me recently. She's changed in front of me. That's weird. That's what I'm trying to tell everyone. The Amberlynn they know is on YouTube. That's a different persona, a personality. But we are getting along. I didn't mean to make it out to like I was saying she was lying. Good grief. I can't win. Y'all just do whatever, but it's always over Amberlynn. I can't handle the drama anymore. I'm about to stress myself into a heart attack. No joke. I didn't mean it the way she took it. I don't know what else to say except I'm sorry. I don't know, Missy. Time always tells. Time always tells all, but something isn't right. I feel it in my heart. Becky's in bad shape, and this was before all this happened. I worry so much about Becky. Aww. Put her into rehab or mental resort. I just don't know how to get her to tell the truth. Oh my God.
Isolating myself from my own family, begging me to spend time with her instead of my mom, causing rifts between us in the very little time I had left with her. I hate that because of Amber and her hold on me.
Amber should. This is something Amber should take accountability for and say, yeah, I was a piece of shit. Because, and they knew she was dying. That's the thing. Amber knew the mom was, I think, because mommy got sick, right? So Amber knew it.
I wasn't there for my mom the way I wanted to be. I hate that I don't remember our last Christmas together. I hate that she cried for me when she was losing so much.
Abuse changes people. It can turn you into someone completely unrecognizable. It can take years for you to find yourself again and to make sense of what was even happening. To those of you who haven't experienced something like this before, I hope that you can see this as a tale of caution. And if you have experienced something like this similarly, then I hope this helps you feel less alone. I hope that my mom is out there watching and seeing the changes I've made and is feeling peace knowing that I am safe, happy, and loved.
She is. She's so proud of you, just like the rest of us. She's so happy and proud, and she wouldn't want you to feel bad for not being there when you were in the abusive situation. She's so proud of you for getting out of that.
I hope that she is proud of me for sticking up for myself and for speaking out against Amber. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you when I
She is, and we all are.
see you.
that was a really good video. I'm really proud of Beck for everything that they spoke out about. And just getting their voice out there and getting their side out there, because for years and years and years and years and years, Amber has played their own side of the story and just made everything out to be, you know, poor me, and you guys don't understand how bad Beck was, and blah, 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 when it had nothing to do with Beck. It was you, Amber. And honestly, I don't wish bad things on people, but I hope it comes back for you to understand what you did to these people. Not just Beck, but Beck's mother, Beck's family, Beck's friends, and all your other relationships that you supposedly also abused. So that's all I have for today, guys. Thanks for spending it with me. I hope it wasn't too boring. I know I didn't talk a lot in like the first half, but I just wanted Beck to get what they needed to say out there, and they were also giving like a lot of definitions and stuff. So yeah, thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.